I've been told I have 10 minutes to live.
Pandemonium in paradise. Ballistic missile threat inbound to Hawaii. This is not a drill.
It's the most terrifying thing in the world because you're being asked to die.
When you say the great love of my life was Renee Zellweger, I'm assuming that that's true.
Are you a man in love?
You know, I don't like to flash those words around in public.
Jim Carrey and Renee Zellweger call it quits.
When your heart is in love, you're floating. But when you lose that love, it can get pretty rough.
Jim Carrey was recently handed a wrongful death lawsuit.
I'm on a manic high right now.
I don't want to be this character anymore. It's too much for me.
There's no meaning to any of this. On the good foot. Ha!
I didn't know it was real and not real. Who the hell is Jim Carrey?
There was a missile alert in Hawaii, and I was in Hawaii. There was an alarm on the television. It was crazy. My assistant Linda called me crying and said, we have 10 minutes left. What should we do? I said, I don't want to die in my car. And we had to say goodbye.
The moment Jim thought he was going to die, memories of his life came rushing back.
But a lot of people don't know this, but when I was about 14 or 15, my father lost his job, and I actually became homeless for quite some time.
You and your whole family lived in a car and had to, be janitors together.
I had to clean it all, man. But the whole time I was singing and I was dreaming.
Growing up in poverty, Jim always dreamed of becoming a famous comedian.
I would visualize things coming to me that I wanted. I had nothing at that time, so it just made me feel better. I wrote myself a check for $10 million, and I gave myself 5 years. I dated it Thanksgiving 1995, and I put it in my wallet. Just before Thanksgiving 1995, I found out that I was going to make $10 million.
When Jim became a comedy superstar, there was only one thing missing.
They say it's lonely at the top, and Jim Carrey is finding out firsthand.
Personal life.
Well, yeah, right.
What is that?
And when he met Renee Zellweger, he thought he had found the one.
When you say the great love of my life was Renee Zellweger, I'm assuming that that's true.
It was special to me, very special.
When your heart is in love, you're floating, weightless. But when you lose that love, you have to re-enter the atmosphere. It can get pretty rough.
Jim Carrey and Renee Zellweger call it quits.
Jim buried his heartbreak beneath his wild and crazy persona that everyone loved.
It looks great when you got a cool car and your nice clothes and you've done something that people admire, but it can never fulfill you. You can never be happy.
The purpose of my life had always been to free people from concern. The only one I hadn't freed was myself.
Jim's life changed when he found someone he could finally show his real self to.
Jim Carrey steps out and we love seeing him this happy.
Catriona White, a makeup artist and photographer originally from Ireland. She and the actor were spotted walking the beach in Malibu.
But when tragedy struck, Jim's heart was broken once again.
Jim Carrey's world rocked by the apparent suicide of on and off again girlfriend Catriona White.
Found with a note addressed to Carrey, she wrote, "I'm sorry you felt I wasn't there for you. I tried to give you my best part. Please forgive me."
The actor says he is shocked and deeply saddened. Catriona was a truly kind and delicate Irish flower, too sensitive for this soil.
And before Jim could fully process his grief, the unthinkable happened.
Jim Carrey has been slapped with a wrongful death lawsuit in connection with his former girlfriend's suicide.
Carrey released a statement saying, "I will not tolerate this heartless attempt to exploit me or the woman I loved."
Losing control, Jim started behaving erratically in public.
There's no meaning to any of this. I wanted to find the most meaningless thing that I could come to and join. On the good foot! Ha! Yeah. You shut her down now. We don't matter. We don't matter.
Oh, wow.
There's the good news.
And depression is your body saying, I don't want to be this character anymore. I don't want to hold up this avatar that you've created in the world. It's too much for me.
Jim was crushed by the burden of always having to play a character.
I wondered who I'd be without my fame. Who would I be if I said things that people didn't want to hear? Or if I defied their expectations of me?
I didn't know it was real and not real. You should think of the word depressed as deep rest. Your body needs to be depressed. It needs deep rest from the character that you've been trying to play.
What would happen if Jim walked away from the persona he had created?
At a certain point, I realized if it's so easy to lose Jim Carrey, who the hell is Jim Carrey?
I found myself looking around at one point in a really bleak winter in New York, at a time when I was trying to heal a broken heart. I decided, well, maybe I'll paint. I know that it just frees me.
And although Jim thought he was escaping his problems, he was about to stare death in the eye.
Pandemonium in paradise. Ballistic missile threat inbound to Hawaii. This is not a drill.
My assistant Linda called me crying and said, we have 10 minutes left, what should we do? I sat down and this overwhelming sense of peace came over me. And I started to go through a list of gratitude for my life. About 2 minutes left to go. I thought I'll just close my eyes, and then I got the information that it wasn't real. So we pushed the wrong button.
With a new lease on life, Jim saw he had been playing characters to make others happy.
Jim Carrey was a less intentional character, right? Because I thought I was just building something that people would like, but it was a character.
I used to think Jim Carrey is all that I was.
And Jim was finally able to heal his heart when he received the news that he was proven innocent in the wrongful death lawsuit.
It's been a long process, and I'm not saying that I don't get caught up in the story, because the story is compelling sometimes.
The bottom line with all of this is love. We want to show ourselves and have that be accepted.
Your need for acceptance can make you invisible in this world. Risk being seen in all of your glory.
Jim realized that true happiness comes from being your authentic self. And by embracing every emotion, he could empower others to do the same.
I dealt with depression a few years ago, and people still think, well, he's going through, you can tell he's depressed. And it's not. I have no depression in my life whatsoever. Literally none. I have sadness and joy and elation and satisfaction and gratitude beyond belief.
That peace that we're after lies somewhere beyond personality, beyond the perception of others, beyond invention and disguise, even beyond effort itself. Ultimately, we're not the avatars we create. We are not the pictures on the film stock. We are the light that shines through. All else is just smoke and mirrors.